Are you ready for our bullish talk show? We got guests for days, all queuing in a row. The biggest names in the DeFi space. Black, white and yellow, guests from every race. So hands off your dick, it's now you're in love. We're talking crypto daily with a big pump up. Big duck energy, let's make banks fast. Come chill with us here on the Pondcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome everyone again to whoever is tuning in now, whoever is going to listen on the YouTube or re-listen on the X account. Welcome to the podcast, a new episode with Sharbi and Oldle Up. I'm going to pronounce it wrong every
You
time.
did. You did it perfect. You did perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Which I'm very glad to have her here with me today for a podcast. So let's start a little bit. How are you today, Sharbi? What can you tell me about your day? Let's chill a little bit and
Yeah, I love that. I am so that I don't fail the assignment, I'm dropping this stream into our Telegram right now to share with our lovely community and just give them a quick reminder that I'm here on the podcast with you. I'm really excited to be here. I was really honored that you reached out. And it's Friday. It's our home is always busy. We have 4 kiddos, so it's always go go go, and they're like teenager and high school age. So I always look forward to the weekend just because it's a little bit more relaxed than the weekday, right? Like it's just go 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 Monday through Friday. So I'm happy it's Friday. Gonna chill with you, and then it'll probably be closer to like the evening when we finish up, and yeah, get the weekend started. How about you?
strangely enough, it's weekend for me as well. It's Friday for myself as well, even if I don't do a Monday to Friday job regularly. But I'm gonna have this weekend off, which I can actually enjoy. Tomorrow I have a few spaces to attend. Quite excited. Quite excited.
Um, go ahead.
No. What were you about to say?
I was curious, your because you said you still have a day job, yeah? Does it,
Yes.
like, go Monday to Friday, or can it be on weekends? Maybe you have to go in to there too?
Anytime, even nights.
Oh,
In fact, I'm
okay.
doing night shift now, next Monday and Tuesday. I live in the UK, so it will
Okay.
be nighttime UTC.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay. That
Yeah, but I
always
love it.
changes things up. That's good. That's good.
I work on the boats. I'm a duck, so guys, I work on
Okay.
at sea. It's amazing. I'm back in contact with my natural element, water.
There you go. I love that. I love that.
Is coming out your interviewer part side, guys. I'm
I
gonna
was.
say
I
that.
know I can't. I'm trying to hold my tongue.
No,
Close
but I'm
my
gonna
duck
share it.
bill.
Everyone here needs to know this. That apparently it's the first time that all the level up. I'm gonna pronounce it wrong again. She is actually being interviewed right now, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that I am the interviewer. Let's dive into it. So
Yeah.
first, tell us a little bit about you. Well, what is your
Mm.
background before cryptos? What you've been doing in your life before all of this?
Before this, huh? And I think I've been here, like 2 like, coming, like, 2 years this month, right? And if some days it feels like I've been here, like, 10 years, and some days it feels like just a couple months. It's kind of funny, like, the time and space, like, it's funny that way. I bet most can relate that are listening, but I actually, so around COVID, right, 2020, my husband got involved in the stock market, and that quickly led into crypto market, and I was just kind of like, the wife. I've actually, my background, I've worked in construction for like over 20 years as a project manager, and my background is real estate and real estate development. So building like shopping centers and shopping malls, and so that was my background really. And but so a lot of things changed for us here when there was like work from home, and so he dived into crypto, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like this is taking all his time, and it just started taking more and more time. But he was like super passionate about it, and I could see that. But he would come and like I know he, it'd get really exciting on like a green day, right? And you'd be up, and then like the next day it would be all gone. And he would tell me, and I was just like, I didn't have at that time. I think over the years I've gotten more emotional intelligence, but like it would be really hard for me, the swings, right? The, oh, we're up this much. Oh, we're actually, it's all gone. Just kidding. Um, and so I just finally, I said, you know what? Let's just not talk about crypto. Like, let's just like you do crypto because I can tell you're passionate about it. You only invest what you can afford to lose. Don't put the house on the market. Don't make us have to sell the cars. It'll be fine. Like, do your thing, and I'll just support silently, right? And I said, but if we're like gazillionaires, you can come and tell me. It was just kind of like a joke, and I probably gave him a lot harder time than I should have. Let's just say that. But so 2 years ago, he came to me and he had invested in Sharbi, and he had been in it just a couple weeks, and he said to me, can you get a Telegram, and I need you to get an X account? And I was like, no, I don't want to. He said, please, like I don't ever like tell you about projects much, but like this one is like really different. There's something about it. I just connected, and there's a really great group of people in there, and I kind of just want you to come and experience it, and like, I don't know, maybe validate what he was feeling. I don't really know, but he never had asked me to join or get a Telegram or be part of a community, nothing like that. And so I was like, okay. And so I got on Telegram, and this is where the name is funny, because all dolled up, I for about 15 years I sold dolls on the platform eBay. So I would sell vintage dolls, and my seller name was all dolled up because I sold dolls. And here, I don't know if it's like across the world, but in the US, like when a woman gets all dolled up, she kind of gets like fancy, right? Like she gets her hair done, and she puts on a dress and maybe some nice shoes. And so that is all dolled up. But then I just correlated it because I sold dolls. It has the word doll in it, all dolled up. So I was like, perfect. That's going to be my Telegram name. And, I thought maybe I would be there 1 or 2 days, right? Like, yeah, I can log in and that's going to be it. But that was like 760 days ago. And I've been here every day since. So I didn't know where this would lead, but it's led me to where I am right here with you. And I've been here 2 years on this journey, which has been nothing short of rewarding and amazing, and exciting. I hope to get into that a little more with you, but that's where All Dolled Up came from. That's how I got into crypto. Sharbi is my very first crypto project that I've been involved in. And I've been here every day since that day. And it's been quite a ride. But I really wouldn't change it for nothing. So that's how I got here.
You touch a few points that I'm realizing the more I interview people that in this space they have a very good, let's say, project behind, or they have a very good ideas in mind. And first of all, I want to say that your background before cryptos, for a lot of people, is this thing in common that we all come from different jobs, different kind of environments. There was
Yeah.
somebody was a doctor, the last one was a chef. Now you're telling me you worked in estate agent, let's say, kind of
In
manage
construction. Yeah. So
construction. Sorry.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, say if you want to add that to the
Oh,
job part.
so what my company, or what I guess what my job was, is that we would buy land, And then when in America, especially, we have very big shopping centers with, like, we call them corporate leases, very big box stores, right? Like, and so you build a shopping center, and so we would buy the dirt, and then we would negotiate, like, long-term corporate leases. So these are very big companies that come in and want to put a store on the dirt, and then we build it, and then they lease those buildings from us, and then we would take those shopping centers and you sell them to maybe hedge funds or investment companies that then manage the shopping center, right? And so I really would had a lot of years in doing that, and it's real estate development was really what it was. And then most recently I got into, like, contract management for big corporations, right? Managing contracts with, say, suppliers and vendors and stuff like that. So when I say construction, I've never, like, hammered a nail, but I'm doing the kind of the paperwork, lease, negotiating, contract sides of it. Yeah. So that's really my background there, which has transferred to crypto quite well for me, in some senses.
And that's exactly the point. The background experience can give you some
Mhm.
skills into cryptos. That your skills are different to mine, as are different to other projects,
Yeah.
other devs, other developer builders. Exactly for this reason, because they have a different mind and a different background. And
Mhm.
eventually, that's what I think that everyone needs to focus on that is listening right now. Focus on what is exactly that thing of yourself that you have that nobody else have in this space, or maybe somebody else yes, but what is that makes you different? And every little part of who you are right now is made from the path that you took in your life. And this, I think, is something a lot of people don't realize, because in cryptos there is everyone with every background. Doesn't matter
Oh,
age,
yeah.
job,
Yeah. Yep.
gender. And that is
Yeah.
something that I find very relatable for everyone.
Yeah, and you know what's amazing though is that we need all of you, right? Because, like, think of, you said, like, a chef, right? But a chef knows how to work under pressure. They usually work in a fast-paced environment. They have to be able to communicate quickly. Those are great skill sets. Like, I feel like crypto and Web3 has a space for so many things, and what someone might find out, right? Like the chef or the doctor that comes in, is they're gonna be able to bring out of themselves skill sets that they have, that they might not even use anymore on a daily basis, right? Just maybe effective communication, or negotiating, or strategizing, or being able to pivot quickly, right? Because in some it's sometimes we don't know what the market's going to do from day to day, right? And that might determine a change in the project or the roadmap or something you're doing. And so it is amazing that, yeah, so many backgrounds can bring so much value, and that there's so many transferable skills that you might have that are needed in this space to move it forward. So yeah, it's really exciting.
100%. And you kind of already answered the next question I wanted to ask you about the main event, something that happened that made you realize that cryptos was something. And you kind of mentioned it already. And I find it outstanding as well the fact that the first real crypto project that you've been involved in was
Mhm.
Sharbi. And after 2 years, you're still here with Sharbi. This is
Yeah.
outstanding. And in my opinion, is a proof of resilience from the people behind the project and from the project itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. It it's important to know the like, in doing this with you today, like, if I'm going to invest in a project, right? Like, it's something to say, like, for seeing that resiliency of Sharby, because you also get to know the people behind, right? So you have a very strong community, and it almost is like an investment in the people, just as much as maybe the utility or the benefit of Sharby, because I think over the last 2 years we've shown um, that, like, we are very committed and resilient and determined to make a difference in the space, and for Sharby and for its investors. And so I think in the long run that also speaks big for Sharbi, and I just couldn't imagine, you know, not having it. My aha moment, I feel like there's been quite a few, but it definitely wrapped me and captured me because it hasn't been all like puppies and rainbows, right? It's been some extreme challenges, but I just was connected, and I have to admit on here today, like, I apologized to my husband many, many times, and we laugh about it now because he's like, "You're on your phone more than me. Are you doing crypto over there?" And I laugh and I'm like, "Yeah," but maybe that can give hope to anyone who maybe has a partner in that's not in crypto. It's very hard to understand until you're in it. Because you find a value as well and a self-worth that I think I had lost along my way, and it's very empowering. Like it feels good, right? You like get to add value to something and make change or be part of a change and future, and it's very exciting daily. So yeah, I've had some aha moments, but once I was in, here I am.
And let's talk a little bit at the beginning of your connection with Sharbi. The
Mhm.
what except from, of course, in this case, the connection with somebody in your life, but what else was something that you from somebody that didn't know anything about cryptos before, that you just heard something that you're like, oh, I might actually spend time to discover what it is, put some of my free time in it. What
Mhm.
was this?
So, um I'm wondering if I should just give a little insight to the background. I'm not sure. But when so as you recall, like when my husband came and said like, "Oh, get in this project," and there was a group of people, um and they were kind of a group of guys, and they were friends, and they all had got into Sharby, and so they had their like little chat, and um so they were in Sharby, and that's what connected me first, because I connected like kind of with that little group. So we didn't launch Sharby. We weren't part of the original team. We didn't know the original team, but we were just, at this point in time, we're investors in Sharby. And there was a lot of lore and a really big narrative behind it, which was exciting. So at that time, and those listening that might not know, but Sharby was launched as a LARP. But by no means was Sharby meant to be here for 2 years. Sharby was supposed to have her run up and the dev would be gone into the sunset. But that didn't happen. And so what had happened was a group of people had invested or bought into Sharby. And I think the dev realized like, oh, like they're like motivated, like this narrative that we've created is like they're really buying into it. We didn't know, right? We're being fooled, okay? We were being fooled. We didn't know at this time that there was no truth behind a lot of the things being shared in the Telegram were not true, and were not happening, and were false. But we did not know this, and here we were, like I was doing research, right? So like when I came into it, I was like, oh, that checks out. Oh, yep, there was that post on X. Okay, like I'm doing my research, and just naturally I started doing research because of the things that were being shared. Um, Sharby ran up at that point. So she had launched on Arbitrum and then launched on Ethereum, multi-chain, paid to hold. It was going really well. Sharby hit 20 million all-time high on Arbitrum, 20 million all-time high on Ethereum. At that point in time, the paid to hold was amazing. It was built into the taxes. So there, in the very beginning, there was a 5% buy and sell tax on Sharby, and that was rewarded and split among the holders. So I can tell you when the volume was really, really high in the beginning, those paid to hold rewards were phenomenal, and it was just it was really great. And the lore and the narrative from the dev was great. We had listed on MEXC, we had listed on LBank. The dev then came and said, he had secured a deal with KuCoin, but that he needed all of the whales to give upwards of $6,000 or $7,000 each out of their own pocket to get this listing. And I was like, what? I'm like, we have to pay for it? Like, I don't know. Like, I sat there with my husband and I'm like, well, like, you know, everything was going great. So, like, they were like, okay, do it. I'm going to fast forward through a bunch of stuff, but come June, July of that year, there was a person from the SHIB community that was being impersonated in our Telegram and was not actually that person. And they had come across a post on X and called us out, called out Sharbi. They were like, this isn't me. I didn't post this. And we were kind of like, oh my gosh. So one of the community members replied and said, what do you mean? Like, you're not in Sharbi? She's like, no. And we thought that she was in Sharbi, right? She posts every day in there and gives updates. And so long story short, what happened was the kind of the group of people that had really come together and started the community there with Sharbi, that group called out the dev. And they were, you know, what in the HE double hockey, what in the hell is going on? He had an emergency in Bali and he disappeared. He disappeared. Of course, you know, there's more in between, but it was very rough, right? The deposit, the deposit on the KuCoin listing was never real. That was never going to come to fruition. We were actually, you know, we were told we'd be the very first project to launch on Shibarium. That was not true. So everything we had really had, you know, I guess there was a part of humility with it a little bit, because we were like, oh my gosh, like, how did we like not see this? And that's something, if you're new to crypto, like, even if you know somebody for months and they are very good at what they do in creating this storyline that was not real, but they had backup. Like, you know, I kind of like, it was a little bit of a deflate, because I was like, how did we not see this? How did we, you know, like it was kind of like okay. But at the end of the day, that original group of people, that community, and the community's growing at this time, right? And there's more people coming in. We said, yeah, we're not going to, this is not going to happen. This is not the end of Sharbi. We are not letting this happen to her. And, you know, there were a lot of holders there that had conviction in the project and what Sharbi stood for in general. And we came together and we said, okay, now it's time to do this. And so we started almost like a cleanup that summer of 23, because we had to get ownership of the Telegram. We had to get ownership of things. And so it started a long journey of like negotiation, and this can get really into the weeds. I almost feel like there should be a Netflix series at some point, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds. But I mean, it took 3 months of negotiating to get Telegram and a payment, right? It took to get a hold of wallets and just ownership of things. It was a grueling process. And that's where I think we became so close knit, because we went through it all together. That kind of that core group that had been there since the beginning. And we just were like, you know, we were determined to make it right with the investors that were there then, the investors that would come in the future, to make it right with the people that had been falsely portrayed to be part of that community that weren't. And we started to build Sharbi back in a very transparent and a way that was going to return and bring value to the space, and that stood for something. And I can tell you, you know, that summer was a little tumultuous, but we got what we needed. We kept moving forward. And we ended up legalizing our DAO in November of 23, which was huge. And a lot of that was like to show the people that, like, we want to be transparent. We want to be very open, and like, we felt bad for the people that were impersonated, and just like the whole, like, Sharbi had launched as kind of the mistress of SHIB, right? And so we that summer we took her through a whole rebrand, and I promise you, if you want to do your due diligence on Sharbi, we've never deleted a message out of the Telegram. So you can go back 2 years in the main Telegram and kind of follow along. But we rebranded Sharbi. She was like the mistress of SHIB, and she had on a pink 70s kind of fur coat and was kind of, I don't know, kind of cringy in a way, but we rebranded her, right? And we spent a long time in that rebrand and creating a brand now for Sharbi, and so it's been a journey. But I can tell you that this last summer we went to ETH Toronto, the conference there, the Blockchain Futurist Conference, which is a phenomenal conference, and the person that was being impersonated that whole time in Sharbi, that is who I hung out with all weekend from the SHIB community. She is now in our Telegram. She is a part of Sharbi. She is part of our family, and a very dear friend. And so it kind of was a full circle moment, hanging out with her in Toronto, because we really got to make it right what this original person had tried to make wrong. So that was big. And I have totally gone off on a tangent. I apologize, but to direct me back, it's been a journey, and I think a lot of aha moments, a lot of things that have taken place, but they've all led us right here, and I wouldn't change that for nothing. So it's really exciting.
So first, I'd like to remind you that the reason why I do the podcast is exactly this one, so people can
Okay.
share completely their side of the story, their experience. And
Yeah.
let's be honest here, Sharbi, it could be one of the first CTO, because 2 years ago CTOs, they were not a big thing, I would say. And you've been
I
kind of a CTO eventually.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because sometimes when I'm talking on a space, I appreciate this podcast, because we don't really get the opportunity to go into, say, that story um, in a 2 or 3 minute shill, right? It's like I talk about what we're doing now, what utilities coming out, what's the next thing, what's next on the roadmap, da, da, da. But this is I love this opportunity in this podcast, because it gives that chance to really tell the story behind it. Because I think other projects, like, if you haven't been through, those grueling moments I'm talking about, or just stressing and like, how do we get ownership of the Telegram? Okay, they're holding it hostage, right? We got to get it. But Sharbi was kind of like an OG CTO, because I would think back to that time, like, you weren't hearing that, you weren't hearing the CTO thrown around a lot. We were just like, we're going to take this over. And so, yeah, she kind of was 2 years ago, that CTO thing wasn't as common as it is now, right? When we hear about CTOs kind of on the daily.
So also I would like to touch one point that you said it was launched initially on Ethereum, and as far as I
Arbitrum?
know now, yeah, there is a layer 2 on Ethereum, and now you are on Solana actually, and you have the liquidity pool on Base as well, as far as I know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
how this multi-chain kind of idea started? Was it actually the dev that gave it to the project, or once you realize, or maybe once you realize how important it was, you actually focus on it?
Yeah. So Sharbi has so when she launched originally, her original launch was on Arbitrum. And then still with the original team, they launched on Ethereum. Two separate CAs, but kind of the coined phrase for Sharbi was the multi-chain queen of memes. And so kind of that narrative piece of the meme coin has always been She's a female meme coin. She's multi-chain. And so it was like the multi-chain meme queen. We always knew that Sharbi would stay.
I think I'm
Basically
losing you.
changed. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, you're
Are
back.
we good?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So originally, the multi-chain launched on Arbitrum. Initial launch was on Arbitrum. Then they launched on Ethereum. And then when we kind of did the CTO in June, July of that same year, um, we part of the narrative, I would say, from the very beginning was that Sharbi was confirmed, which wasn't true, but we were told she would be the very first project to launch on Shibarium. So if you held a 1% bag on Arbitrum and you held a 1% bag on Ethereum, that you would get in at the launch on Shibarium. Okay, this was kind of like the narrative from the person who originally launched it, which got a lot of people into it, right? And so when we took over, we ended up dropping the Arbitrum chain when we went to Shibarium, and so there was some transitions that took place there. I at that time I wasn't as like front and center as I am now, like today. I did just mainly I was just focused on the art side, so I would do the memes and the art, and I was finding just joy in like doing those things. And then when we had legalized the DAO, I knew that I wanted to I would dox myself for that, right? So and obviously if when you create and legalize a DAO, it's a full docs, right? So I'm giving all of my birth information, like everything about me. I knew I wanted to do that for Sharbi. And so from Sharbi, there's actually 3 of us that did that process in Panama. And there's 3 DAO admin. And so the 3 of us did that. And then I started just getting because I was new in the space too, right? Like finding my way. My first spaces that I spoke on, I was like hiding in the closet. I was sweating because I was so nervous. And then I was just telling my husband, please, I don't want to do it. Please, I don't want to speak. I can't do it. I can't do it. He's like, yes, you can. I'm like, no, I can't. I can't do this. And so he like handed me the phone and then he ran off. And it was like they called me up and I was like, oh gosh, okay. So I remember listening back and my voice is like cracking. Oh gosh, yeah. But you know what? I had to do it. I had to do it. But it took time. Like it takes time to find your place, to find, what brings you the most joy and like enjoyment. Because you don't want to lose the fun part of it too, right? Because it can be stressful around these parts, like especially if you're directly involved with a project, right? Not just an investor. If you're active in the day-to-day things and the roadmap and the planning, like I still find time to create or create memes or to do certain things because that is the part of it that I love and that brings me joy. But I'm going to circle back because through Sharbi's journey, we've had to make some pivots and we've had to make some changes. Sharbi, the P2H, which is the paid to hold, has been since the beginning. And in the very beginning, that was in the tax structure. So it was 5% buy and sell tax. Um, as time, without getting, way into it, but as time has moved on, we've had to pivot. We've had to make some changes. There was a situation with the Ethereum contract that we were aware of, and so we had to migrate all of our Ethereum holders to a new ETH contract, which we did. It was seamless. And then Shibarium came, and we launched on Shibarium. And so after the launch on Shibarium, I can get into that. I think there's some questions down the way or maybe later on, but I want to I being multi-chain for me, it's hard because I hate to confuse the listener. There's so much to being multi-chain, but the big picture is that as of today, Sharbi remains multi-chain. We have had to make changes, and we have done that with our community and our investors in mind. So when I'll talk about Sharbi.fun at some point, I'm sure, but there's been pivots we've had to take. There's been changes we've had, it's very fluid, and at the heart of it has always been the community and the investors and what's going to be best for the project long term, to be sustainable and to continue rewarding our holders for holding Sharbi. And with that, we are 0% tax. Like as of today, we sit on Base and Solana. We're a 0% tax meme token. We have 75 billion supply equally on each chain. Previously, it was 1 trillion. So there's been a lot of changes, migration. So about 1 month ago, we migrated all of our Ethereum and Shibarium holders to Base chain. Okay, so basically anyone that held on Shibarium and Ethereum, we took them and we made them whole on Base. Now, the amount of tokens that they held became less, but the value was the same. So it was a huge migration, and we think it was well worth it. And I can go into later why we did that. But we currently sit on Base and Solana, and the paid to hold mechanism is built into the revenue streams Sharbi is creating to share that revenue with her holders. And that is our paid to hold mechanism. It's no longer the taxes, which it was in the beginning. In the beginning, we collected the tax, and that was our paid to hold mechanism, which we've paid over $1 million since January 2023 has gone back to holders in that setup.
Yeah, I would say that first is something that personally I admire, to try to be multi-chain. In fact, with this podcast, personally, I'm trying to bring different perspective from different chain. So here, listening right now to a meme token that actually managed to do something like this in so many different chains is personally outstanding. You touched a lot of different points through your project. So you said initially there was the fee that nowadays, especially because of Solana, a lot of meme tokens don't have a fee. Hence, when you're buying or selling, there is no fee on the contract, basically built on the contract. So you are paying just the fee of the platform, of the network, but you are not actually giving revenue to the devs. While initially, as she said, there was. And I want to touch on this point right now. How actually can you manage right now to have a revenue as a meme token without having this stream of money that you had before? That as a 5% is not that it wasn't that little. So how did you face that challenge, and what are you doing nowadays to actually pay your
Yeah.
holders?
So it kind of blows me away, because when when we had the taxes was the paid to hold mechanism, right, in the beginning. But in the market at that time, we reached 20 million on Ethereum, 20 million on Arbitrum, really with nothing. Like what we have today, right? And that's where we could talk about being undervalued. But what we have today, like, I think that we ran to 20 million and there was nothing. But the paid to hold part, but everything else was like, they said things were happening, but nothing was, let's be honest. And so the market then was a little different. But what had happened was, when Solana gained popularity, 0%. When you have a paid to hold contract, it was very expensive. And so what we saw was, we had a floor of holders on Ethereum, but it was just stable. Like, it wasn't moving, because it costs a lot to transact, and it was even more for Sharbi to transact on Ethereum because of that extra layer of the paid to hold mechanism in there, and that extra layer in the contract. So now you have 0% on Solana, and then you had Ethereum, which was expensive, and we just kind of saw that it was very stagnant, the chain itself. And we, like, even globally, like, if you think of someone's salary is maybe $30 a month or something somewhere in the world, like, that a lot of people can't afford to transact on Ethereum, and it was stagnant. And so we thought, well, we're going to have to pivot there. And I can get into the revenue part, but Shibarium, as I said earlier, we made the decision because of the platform that we are releasing, which is coming very, very soon. And we can talk a little more about that later. But Sharbi.fun is a platform that's going to need volume. And we stepped back and we said, we felt this innate tie to Shibarium and the Shib community. We have had nothing but support, especially from what Sharbi went through, right? We felt a bond to the chain and to Shibarium. But at the end of the day, we have created strong friends there, strong relationships, great people. But we knew for Sharbi to be as successful and have the most potential, we had to be somewhere where there was the volume right here and now. And so that is where we had kind of a stagnant Ethereum that wasn't seeing a lot of buys, because if you had the choice to go buy Sharbi on Ethereum or Solana where it's pennies, you're going to choose Solana, right? So that's how we decided we're going to take all our Ethereum holders, we're going to take all our holders on Shibarium, and we're going to migrate them into Base Chain. Base Chain is an amazing chain with amazing community. It's growing, it's innovating, and we felt like this would be the best place to launch our platform, which also required us to pivot because we were actually almost done with our platform written for Shibarium. So we had to pivot, and our devs had to go to work on changing some things, which has taken a little time, but that's okay. We want it to be great. So we're currently Base Solana, and our revenue is coming, and it will continue to be built out of our Sharbi Dream Factory. I want to pause for just a second. Those who might listen back to this later, I have to mention this right here and now so that you can go back to it later, or you can remember I said this. But when you have a multi-chain meme coin with utility, with an ecosystem that's been built out over 2 years, with the history and just the things that we have, it can seem overwhelming and convoluted or too much, or I don't know. So what we did was we took the platform Gitbook, which is usually it's used for like technical analysis, white papers, but we took the Gitbook platform and we created a Sharbi Gitbook. So if you go to Sharbi's X page, in the header, follow our link tree, you will see a link to the Sharbi Gitbook. You can go into our Telegram /Gitbook, GITBOOK. The Gitbook is a Sharbi hub. This is where another Sharbian and I have written out the entire ecosystem of Sharbi, how it's set up, how the revenue is going to work, how to get onto Base, how to get onto Solana, how to create a wallet, how much do I have to get Sharbi, get into the Sharbi BBC, how much do I have to own to get rev share? Can I own on Solana and get rev share from the Base utility? Yes. How do I get into the Sharbi DAO? How does the Sharbi DAO make decisions? It's all there. So if you are interested in doing your research and doing it thoroughly, I suggest that's where you start. I just want to give a shout out to my Gitbook. The foot traffic hasn't been what I'd like to see it at, but it is very detailed, and it just answers a lot of questions, and maybe makes it not feel like so much when I get to share 2 years and say an hour or two, right? So please check out the Sharbi Gitbook. I just wanted to give a plug to the Gitbook because it is a great resource and place to start and kind of do start your deep dive into Sharbi.
Yeah, I think that is an amazing idea, because when you start to have utilities, I always invest in blockchains first. So I invest in the technology, I say to everyone. So once you start to have utilities, very often you need to explain them to people, explain how they work, especially if you want people that they are investing money, not that they are trading, because eventually trading is different. So I would say that that is very important. So we're gonna add eventually pin as well for this link that you said, because is a, as I was saying, if I need to check Sharbi right now, that would be probably the starting point, because I'm interested in these kind of things. So you said that there are a lot of different points into
Mm-hmm.
this Git. How is it? What's the name? Git
Git
book,
book,
you said?
Git book,
Yeah.
Git book. Yeah.
So I would like to focus a little bit on the revenue side, because very
Yeah.
often people, when they approach passive income, they always think, oh, if I had 100,000 in this specific investment, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
need to work, full time, or that is the kind of
Yeah.
financial freedom for a lot of people. So how exactly right now that you said, for
Yeah.
example, Solana, Base, so is
Mhm.
multi-chain. So I would say that probably, as you mentioned, the earning from one chain is actually shared between all the holders and all the chain.
So what we did in March of last year was, when when the tax paid to hold mechanism went away. We knew through the last 2 years of trials, tribulations, successes, failures. I mean, we've scrapped more utility than we've put out for people to use. But through all of this, Sharbi has done a really good job at building connections, growing her network, building relationships. We set some like pillars of what Sharbi is, and that's one of them, right? Like, we love to partner and support and help and do everything we can to bring up other projects that are working hard and creating value and um, in the space. And so over the last 2 years, year and a half, we've done a really good job of that, and we've met some great people. Okay, so out of that, in March of last year, we created the Sharbi Dream Factory, which sharbidreamfactory.com. Sharbi Dream Factory also has its own section in the Git book. And Sharbi Dream Factory is basically the umbrella of where Sharbi will now and continue to create as many revenue streams as we can out of that Dream Factory. So that started with our volume. We created our own volume bot on Solana. We sold the volume bot. It's a white glove service. Since we own the bot, it's like, okay, we can give you the volume you need when you need it. How do you want to do it? Maybe during this catalyst or that catalyst. And then we have connections with trending services, or getting your CMC or CG listing done, or maybe your something that actually has been really great out of the Dream Factory, and a service that gets a lot more attention than what you would see like publicly, is our legal services. So we are very well connected with a group of attorneys and legal crypto attorneys that are worldwide. There's a big group of them. They are all over the world, but they kind of made a group together where they come together and they talk about regulations and future and politics and laws and things like that. We offer legal services. So, say your project wants to legalize a DAO, or maybe you have questions on how can I say Sharbi revenue share? Can I say that? Yeah, I can, because I asked. But okay, can I share this in the Git book as Sharbi rev share breakdown? So we offer legal services. Lots of projects, great projects have come to us, and we've connected them with these lawyers. And so everything that we're doing out of Sharbi Dream Factory is a revenue stream, or brings in revenue. That revenue is shared with our holders. If you go to the Git book mentioned, you can see how that breakdown works. But any revenue that Sharbi brings in now down the road is going back to our holders. We are Our biggest utility to date, which has not been released, will be the Sharbi fund platform, which will launch on Base Chain very, very, very soon. We are finishing stress testing right now. It's really exciting. But the launch of that is coming very quickly up on us. And this platform, I kind of think of it as like you know, Pump did 500 million in January. I don't know if that figure is right. It doesn't matter, but 500 million, they're privately held. Could you imagine if Pump shared that, had holders and they shared that revenue, right? So we have taken a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of data, right? Collected data, and we've taken a lot of that and built out this platform with a very appealing UI. It's very user friendly, easy to use, easy to navigate, and it has a lot of amazing things built into the platform, right? Not only advantageous and exciting things for a developer, but also like a trader. So I can get more into the Sharbi.fun, but to stay on with the rev share. So now the rev share is 0% tax, but Sharbi is creating revenue streams, and these revenue streams bring in revenue, and that revenue is shared with our holders. And our goal is to continue to build out as many revenue streams as we can to share that revenue with our holders, because at the end of the day, we don't want anyone to ever sell Sharbi because they're making enough passively, they don't have to. But yeah, like I said, the biggest utility today will be the Sharbi.fun, which 100% of the revenue from Sharbi.fun will go back into Sharbi's ecosystem. Also shared revenue with our holders. Even though Sharbi.fun is on Base Chain, if you are on Solana and you hold enough tokens to qualify for rev share, you still get that revenue, even though it's on Base. There is, a holder's a holder. If you hold enough to qualify, you still will be part of the rev share from anything that comes out of the Dream Factory, right? It doesn't matter the chain you hold on.
So I would like to say that here we can see your entrepreneurship kind of mind, that when you realized that you wanted to give utility, there was a utility at play with this meme token. You not only gave utility for the shareholders, as you said, but you gave as well a kind of a umbrella kind of idea of different part of the ecosystem that can give a revenue stream. I think is extremely important, because the beauty of meme tokens is that they are adaptable. That means that constantly you can change. You can, as you said, in 2 years you needed to change. You changed it. You tried different things, different chain. You always, in all of these path that you took along the way, you always your main focus was, as far as I understood, except from the utility, rewarding the holders, which is
Yeah.
something that, in my opinion, for a meme token is extremely important for the long run, because after 2 years, majority of meme tokens, they are not what they were probably in the first month or 24
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
some,
could you imagine if we were still sitting on Arbitrum and Ethereum? Like it, you,
it would be
and I
completely
would,
different. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be very
Probably
different.
you wouldn't be, yeah, who you are right
I don't
now.
know where I would be, to
Maybe,
be
yeah,
honest.
the
But
project would be dead. Maybe, who
yeah,
knows? Because that
yeah,
is the
yeah. And that
and
was the big, it was hard as building the friendships we have. Like, we were um very excited about the launch of Shibarium, but we had to say to ourselves, yes, we feel connected to this. We did it. We launched on Shibarium. We had a great launch on Shibarium. But in order for our holders and the continued success, and we have to make this pivot. And so it was hard to do, in a sense, maybe from like maybe personal objective, but for Sharbi and the health of Sharbi and the success of Sharbi.fun, we had to make that hard decision to pivot and move our holders to Base in order to launch the platform. Yeah.
Yeah,
Always,
and on top
I
of it,
think our community is really at the heart of what we do, because I want them all to be successful and earn passive income that lets them live life, right?
yeah. And I would like to now dig a little bit more into this pump dot fun kind of idea that you have. But first, I would like
Yeah.
to say that, as you were saying, you are delaying a little bit. Probably why? Because you understand that it's something that you want it to work. You don't want to launch and have problems. You don't want to launch and people they might lose money or something goes wrong, because you want people to eventually look at Sharby and realize that Sharby is trying to do the right thing at the right time with the right people. And this pump dot fun idea, it is interesting. I don't know about Base that much. I don't trade personally that much on Base. I hold something, but I
Mhm.
don't trade. So I don't know if
Mhm.
there is already a market about it on a Base, but definitely it can be something that is very interesting. So if you want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, and so Sharbi.fun, obviously if you look at something like Pump and we see the revenue that platform is bringing in, um of course Sharbi is trying to do it with a sense of I don't know, class. It's hard because, like, for me personally, not speaking as Sharbi or for the project in this sense, but like it's like, oh my gosh, there's such a negative connotation to this platform at times, right? Like you have, I think there'll always be the degens, and I see myself as like I'm trying to, we run Sharbi in some sense as like a company or a business, and um okay, like how do we show that like we are doing this right, like classy, kind of like we're not like trying to bring something toxic or that will be negative to the space, but we that will bring like a sense of uh reward and fun and interactive. And so we have a lot of some we haven't even shared publicly yet, which will be exciting when we do. But there are certain features, built into it that we've really taken um, time to focus on the dev that might go launch a project there, or the person who maybe they want to make money a different way. And so we built in, like for Sharbi.fun, for instance, when the platform launches, you can go on and you can create your own profile. When you create your profile, you will get a referral link at the top. And so, like, you'll have your profile and then you'll have a personalized referral link. If you share out that referral link and that the person you share it with signs up for Sharbi.fun and uses the platform, we have a referral program. So you can earn up to 25% of the fees that we are collecting back to you in that referral program. And it's tiered, right? So like you refer 10 people and then they go and refer people, you're actually going to be collecting down the ladder. So you can earn up to 25% of the fees that we collect daily. So you go out like right when we launch and you just share it with as many people as possible. You're there at the beginning. Those people interact with the platform. You can go in daily and you'll be able to collect daily to your wallet. You can just click on collect daily. For the developer, we have something called fund drops. So when they go to launch, they can click the fund drop button. The fund drop button is going to drop your project to people in the Sharbi BBC. So the Sharbi BBC is our Boom Boom Capital group. You can find on the Get book how to qualify, how to get into the Sharbi BBC. Part of rev share in there is that we also invest in other projects. And when those do well, we've done some great investments that have done really well. That is also part of rev share. Okay, rev share that goes back shared with the holders. But that being said, You can do fund drops to the Sharbi qualifying investors, and then your project is kind of getting airdropped to those people. So that's advantageous for the dev because you're getting to share your project a little bit with these Sharbians that hold, and then Sharbi holders that qualify, they're getting a little bit of this project just airdropped to them. And if it does really really well, that's super exciting, and maybe it could be very successful and great for you, which would be the hope, of course. But there's just a lot of really great things. It's very user friendly. It's an eye-catching UI, and the best part about it is that it's very easy to use. It's simple, it's not overcomplicated, yet it's like effective, and we're just really excited about it. So I know there's so much more, and I'm sitting here wanting not to tongue tie myself and say something I'm not supposed to, but I have been talking about it the last few like spaces I've been doing on X, and like you said, when we decided to pivot from launching it on Shibarium to Base, it took a little bit of rework in the background, so that's taken time. That's okay, but also we want to, we started out testing with our DAO. We did about 2 weeks of testing with the DAO, and then we opened it up to our Boom Boom Capital group here about 3 or 4 days ago. And then next week we're going to roll into stress tests, which means we'll all be on a VC together, and we'll all start buying and selling. Like, just we're going to do some big stress tests on the platform. So it's getting very very close, which is very very exciting. I think we're about 6 months in, 7 months in, but I'm really excited for it, and I hope that it is successful, of course.
Yeah, I think the pump fund idea is something that definitely can add an extra utility, as you said, to the project, because very often that is the point, is tricky for somebody that tries to find new ways to get a stream of money, to find new ways that they can still be catchy, and maybe an idea that already is out there but made in a way that is unique. And all these few things that you mentioned already are, in my opinion, are very interesting, because from Solana, that I am personally, I today as well was on PumpFund. I love DJing here and there, and PumpFund is earning so much money from the fees that eventually is is very hard to actually say that PumpFund is helping the ecosystem. The Solana ecosystem is, of course, doing a lot for volumes, transactions, but the you know the real platform that is making money is PumpFund on Solana. And I would say that if you can manage to do something similar, but with, again, ways that they can actually reward the people using it, or people holding, in this case Sharbi, it can be extremely extremely, first of all, revolutionary in a way, because I don't think I ever heard yet pump fund kind of platform that they actually do something like this. So it could be absolutely something that it can help to bring a lot of people in. The
Yeah.
referral side maybe can be tricky, I think, in my personal opinion, because the referral side is hard eventually to keep up with it if you start to actually engage. So one tip I can give you guys, just one little tip: if you start to see that you actually have enough volumes, enough people joining the referral side, double check it, because 25% is not a little, and if it builds up, it can become quite hard
Mhm.
eventually to pay back these kind of things, and for you to still keep making money. Just my opinion.
Mhm. And like, so you'll be able to so like every time someone trades using the link, you're going to get a piece of that, right? So for life, as long as they're still trading. But I think you'll have your own, almost like a social media profile, right? So you're going to have your own profile in Sharbi.fun, um where you can follow the launch, like you can follow your investments, right? It's going to all be charted there for you. But with the referral, you'll be able to see and collect that in real time, I have left that to the experts, because you see how I start tripping on my words. I'm like, it's all built in, and it's very it's kind of amazing. The perks and the little things that have been built into the platform, I think, are what's going to set it apart. And that's what we've spent the most time focusing on is, yes, Pumped Off Fun is sitting here making so much money on transactions and those fees that they're collecting. Could you just imagine if they had a group of people they were sharing that with? That would be amazing. But we have and even on the Get book, please, it kind of breaks it down, but just the little things that we have built into this platform. And really, this will be V1, right? Like, we have it set here, we're gonna launch it here, but we have so much more in development that will come, and we will be able to add to the platform and continue to expand on that. So it's just really exciting. But I appreciate your comments on the referral piece, right? um it's great to have feedback with anything.
I would
I
like to
do
add as
appreciate that.
well. Yeah, I would like to add as well, as a DJ myself. I personally think that the point of the creating a kind of social media platform as well, it is very interesting because it can first of all give to devs actually a record that it can be good for those that actually they put effort in their projects, because very often people they like to create new wallets to hide their tracks, and is all very sketchy. So I think this can help very much those devs that, regardless of the meme, regardless of the project, regardless of the idea, they can actually create something without having to worry about their fame around, or their connections, or their all these kind of things, because it could be very interesting, especially on base. Again, I'm not that into base. Let's say I as I said, I hold some stuff on base, but I'm not really using it much. So I will ask you in this case, base, what can you tell me about base? Because you are actually on it. So you decided to move to base. What was your decision? What brought you to that decision to actually move to base?
Okay, so without sounding too uneducated here, I do know that we had, because of Shibarium, to effectively move over, we couldn't move it to Sui, right? Like, we had a few options, but I know for base, just kind of what they're doing. And it's funny because when you're on X, right? And then when when the DAO voted to move over to base, it was like, oh, I started going and looking at some base projects, and because I had been in my lane of Shibarium, Ethereum, right? Solana, like that. Those were my lanes I was driving in. And that your X profile is just going to keep you in your closed loop system until you scoot out of it. And so I got out of it and I started going in and looking at base projects and looking at the community and what they're doing and building. I think that it's growing, but I think their mindset and the community centric energy that came from it is really what drove us there. We have worked really hard. Something about Sharbi from the very early days, which the story I started with in the beginning, is that we have a treasury now. We do have a DAO treasury, but we have no marketing wallet. So everything from Sharbi has been funded through our community, from our community. So when you see the things that we do from a marketing, from a development, this is a self-funded project. We don't have a wallet with just marketing funds and we're able to do this, and that. It's really all been homegrown, um, you know, grassroots marketing, just from the beginning. And so we just felt like kind of our community set that community. I really feel that over on base. I do feel that on Solana too, but there's just different things that are different, right? With anything, there's just I feel like a lot of people are building and creating a value for Web3 there that really aligned with Sharbi and what she's doing, and highlighting those builders and those projects that are contributing and building and giving back. is big on Base, and so we've been welcomed in that way, which has been rewarding in itself. I did a space last week, and it just it felt very like connected right from the beginning, and welcomed with what we're doing. Have we gotten all the eyes and the marketing out there? No. I think leading right up to the launch, we'll do a little bit of a bigger marketing push, which is planned. But for now, it's just been like the connections, like we've always done from the beginning, just going out there and meeting and connecting with projects and doing that kind of grassroots connecting and marketing that we've always had to do.
I would like to say that, first of all, you've been repeating very often DAO, 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 and as well,
Mm-hmm.
of course, your title today here is Sharbi DAO admin. So
Yeah.
for the people listening to the DGen, the DAX, that they are listening and they maybe heard this term already, but they don't know exactly what it is. Can you give us a little bit more information about what DAO is?
Yeah. So basically, we formed a DAO in Panama in November of 23. So it's basically like decentralized governance. So, like I've mentioned a few times, we talked about Sharbies, like we set some pillars, right? When you go and you legalize a DAO, you have to create or write a group of bylaws, and you're going to be held to those bylaws within the community. And so, because Sharbi is community owned, this DAO basically signifies that. When you create a DAO, you have to have 3 people that fully KYC, because their names are on these legal documents, right? But we really wanted to champion like the decentralized governance piece. So this is collective decision making. This is transparency, holding ourselves, having integrity in the things that we do for the investors and for the projects. And so how it's set up right now, Sharbi's DAO consists of 26 people. So there's 26 people in our DAO right now. To be in the Sharbi DAO, so that means you would have a vote, one vote. You have to hold 3% of supply, and that can be 750 million on Base and 750 million on Solana. Would count as 1%, but it can be on either chain. So you have to hold 3%, and by that you are part of the Sharbi DAO core council and you hold voting rights. So how we say, for instance, when we decided to make the transition from Shibarium Ethereum, take all those holders, migrate them to Base, launch Sharbi.fun on Base. These are big decisions, right? And so usually the conversation starts in our Boom Boom Capital, which is essentially the whale group. And the Boom Boom Capital, we talk about things. So we talk about, what's the positives, the negatives, people just can freely give their opinion, how they feel about it. And it's really just open conversation among the BBC. But when something is ready to go to vote, those in the Sharbi DAO Core Council have that voting right. And so we will move the vote to the DAO. So the discussion will happen in the BBC. When we feel like we've gotten to a good point in the discussion that we can set forth the voting, then we take that vote, and then the DAO votes on the initiative or the spend or whatever it might be. In our being part of the DAO admin, there's 3 of us. That just means like sometimes we'll do a giveaway and it's like, I need $150. I can do that without running a vote, right? Like, so that's all the admin is that into the bylaws, a Sharbi DAO admin, they're the only ones with access to the wallets. And as a DAO admin, I can go and do this $100 thing without taking it to vote. So for Sharbi, it's actually 5,000. So anything over 5,000 would need vote, but having such a small, I think if the DAO grows, when the DAO grows, it would be, but more like how it is now, the 26, we usually run everything by, unless it's a couple $100, but really everything's very transparent in that group. And so, but the DAO admin team really just holds the keys to the treasury, and they ensure the security, integrity of the project. In that aspect, I do all the financials. So we have to submit our financials, and I do that with the attorney. We did that in December, just kind of have those key responsibilities. But it really is just about having that decentralized governance, because we're a community token, we're community owned. There's not one person that owns Sharbi. So anyone can come in, qualify for the DAO, and come in and be part of Sharbi and her future and going forward and all the great things we're doing. You are welcome to come and do that and be with us,
It's something that generally you hear the, of course, word DAO for other kind of project. So it's very interesting how you definitely gave it a meme token, kind of. No, it's not a kind. Yeah, it's a literally a DAO idea,
Yeah.
and that is very very nice, because again it gives the actual rights to somebody that is maybe not the actual team, the right to decide for some future decisions or
Yes.
financial one,
Yes. Yes.
which
That is possible, right? So like with the DAO, you can come and be part of Sharbi's future, right? You get to come in and have a say of, what we're doing. It's like we say, I think, seat of influence. Like you can come in and influence the project, and be part of that. Um, so
is
it's
something
a
as
collective.
yeah, is something as Duck the Duck. Honestly, I'm listening to it and I'm very interested, because again it can give the power to some people that they actually believe in the project, because that is the
Mhm.
point, that you are not giving the
Mhm.
access to anybody, but that is a decision that everyone makes based on how they decide to go through this kind of decision or no. But eventually it's
Yeah.
again something that you don't see in a meme token, because very often you have teams, or you have even CTOs teams or dev teams that generally take decisions, and it's something that as Dark the Duck as well we always try. That's why the team as well is always active on the Telegram, on the YouTube, trying to listen. And this is again, a votation system is something on the blockchain can happen. So very good job, guys, very good job for this. I would like to
Thank
ask you
you.
as well about, so you said that you need about, you've probably heard, I'm not sure, 3% of the supply or 0.3%?
3% will qualify you for the DAO. So every 750 million on either Base or Solana is 1%, right? And to be in our whale, so I keep mentioning the Boom Boom Capital, the whale group, BBC, that is 1%. So that's 750 million tokens on either Solana or Base, or a little bit of each. Just 750 million Sharbi is the 1%. And so it is 3% in supply for the core council, the DAO, to be in the DAO.
But from a supply point of view, because a lot of people, especially after all these recent launch that happened, meme token launch, a
Mhm.
lot of people like to look at the supply control in different ways. But I always like to remind people, especially when listening, that if the supply control is in the hand of people they proven already that they are not here for a 2x, for a 5x, for a 10x, they're here for the project. They're here to see an idea become actual reality, see a dream
Yeah.
become
Yes.
reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
that's why we dug as well. I always say that we want to right now have this kind of people, from the little one to the big one, people that regardless of where you are,
Mhm.
and everyone
Mhm.
take their own decision eventually with their project. But I think that what you are doing with this DAO idea and whale groups is absolutely, i I do find it very very smart, again, because you can control the supply in a way that eventually the price, when it goes down a bit, it won't be going down as much as people might think, especially for this
Yeah.
reason, for the supply control.
Yeah, I mean, I know Hero posted, there was like a video that was released a few days ago by like one of an influencer. I think it was like Ice or someone. But we took that and we retweeted it with the Sharbi chart, because 2025 has been just great for us. And to echo what you said, with Sharbi, like having the DAO that we do, or the strong holder base that we do, Sharbi is in good hands with those holders. I can tell you that right now it wouldn't take much. Like, I feel like if we catch a momentum, or we catch something, it's gonna go. And the best part is, like, the people that are holding in the DAO, like, they aren't selling at 5 million, because most of these people have round tripped much more than that. They've been holding, like, we're not here for a 2 times or a 5 times, right? And so it's going to go where it deserves to be, really. But that's a good point that you make. Like, I can't they're not gonna be selling when we hit 1 million market cap.
And even if they are going to take some profit, because that is the point a
Uh-huh.
lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
We're all in this, of course, to make financial returns. And the point is that once you get to certain market caps, the financial return of course change based on the person. For some people, $50 might be a financial change. For people can be 50,000. For other can be 1 million. But the point is that here you are trying to build something that is multi-cyclical. So it's not going to be only this bull cycle. You are aiming to be at 50 million, and after bear market, Sharp is going to be forgotten, because you were born during a bear market situation. We were, let's say, recovering from the proper bear market. But at the same time, the idea here is multi-cyclical, so it's not just to stop after this cycle is going to be over. I would like to ask you the last question about Sharbi, and after I would like to move the topic a little bit towards another
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
way of the podcast. So first, if there is anything you like to add that we didn't cover about Sharbi, something for the ducks that are listening, for the new listener, for whoever is going to listen to the recording and made it through up to this point, is anything that you like to add about Sharbi that we haven't discussed yet?
Um, One, so for anyone, even if you are listening back, and you heard me, I do want to reiterate the Sharbi Git book, which is very easy to find. Go to our X. There's a link there at the top for our link tree. You will see Sharbi Git book, or you can go into the TG /Git book. We'll give you a link right to it. If there is anything in that Git book that you question, you want clarification on, doesn't make sense, by all means, please just come into the Telegram. I'm there every day. Someone's there every day, and like, I want it to evolve and be better. And obviously, as Sharbi grows, the Git book will grow with her. But yeah, if there's anything in there that is off, or you question, or you want more information on, please, by all means, just come into the Telegram. And really, like, Sharbi has a lot of facets to her, multi-chain. We are so passionate about her, and I hope that anything that I've shared today, that conviction in that, we're not just building, um, we're building something sustainable with value that gives back to its holders. And we're building it out for the long run. We have so many ideas in our DAO, and so many more things that we want to do, but I think she will keep evolving and evolving. She's a female meme coin, and by all means, I want the first stop to be 100 million market cap for her. I think she's a queen that deserves it. We want those that hold Sharbi to never have to sell, because they're making enough passive income that they don't have to. And yeah, above all, we've also built out a brand, and that will as well continue to evolve. So I know sometimes it might feel like I've been here a million years or just a few months, like I said in the very beginning. But goodness, if you're at all, anything we've said today so far, just can't you feel a connection, or um, you know anything at all, just come in and hang out for a little bit, or give us a follow on X, please, because um, I think we have created and will continue to create, and would love to have those create with us. going forward. Because yeah, we're very excited. I think
To
that kind of
conclude
sums
about
it up.
this point, yeah, to conclude about this point, I want to add, guys, that those projects, like in this case, Sharbi, which the main team behind is almost every day on Spaces, in the Telegram, always active. He's always there trying to be there for the newcomers, for the old investors, for whoever wants to know a little bit more, or just maybe had a bad day and needs a chat. These are the kind of project that, in my opinion, personally, I invest in, because are the project that, again, are made by real people. That in cryptos, unfortunately, there are, of course, a lot of people, but a lot of people, they don't want to be real people. So people like this are the one that, in my opinion, I invest in. And I want to now
Thank you.
shift a little bit. No, thank
Uh-huh.
you, Sharbi.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I want to shift a little bit, because in the beginning of the podcast, you did say that it was the first time for you that somebody interviewed here. So first is the first time for me on the podcast that the guest is actually a female. So for me,
Okay.
yes, for me personally,
Awesome.
I enjoyed very much so far, and I would like exactly to focus on this, because we have started to have a lot of females started to
Mhm.
in the space to first shine or
Mhm.
join, and it's something that I
Mhm.
think we need a lot. So you, that you've
Yeah.
been around for 2 years now, and you've been
Uh-huh.
as well putting your face out there, you've been
Mhm.
fighting for Sharbi. What kind
Mhm.
of tips would you
Mhm.
like to give to the women listening, to the women that are, looking at you now and saying, "Oh, I wish to one day do something similar into the crypto space." What kind of tips
Uh,
would you give them?
yeah, definitely. This is a big one because I still feel like every day in crypto I learn something. But I remember in the first weeks, I was so scared. I was so nervous. And when I got that Telegram account that I talked about, and all I would do is I'd like post a GIF or I'd post like a emoji face, and I wouldn't be part of the conversation. And if I'm being fully honest and transparent, it was because I was scared. Like there was a lot of men in there, and I felt like it was like male, like a lot of males in there. Um, and so I was like nervous to say the wrong thing. And I remember like I had to, I wrote down acronyms and then I was like Googling them. I didn't even ask my husband. I was like, what does DYOR mean? Why is hold spelled HODL? Isn't it HOLD? Are they all spelling it wrong? What is going on? Um, what is a Chad? I was just like almost like, okay, this is a new world. And it was a new world. It is a new world. But at the same time, I slowly gained confidence. Now, if I could give advice, I would say don't hold back like I did, because if you go onto spaces or if you get involved and you dive into this world of web 3, which is the wild west, there's room for all of us. We're all passionate. That's why we end up here, I think. Um, Not to hold back. I was so nervous to speak because I was afraid I'd say the wrong thing, or maybe like, I don't have enough, I'm not educated enough, and I don't know what a Chad and hodl or okay. But once I started, um, it just it just felt better, and I felt like I even felt more of something. And so I think that, the women always talk about like, oh, empower women and let's empower the women to speak. But all the women listening need to know that we're already powerful. So you're already powerful. All the women are already powerful. We have lots of power and we just have to figure out how to use it and then do it, use it, because we have the power in us already. You don't need to be empowered. You just have to use your power. And so the hard part sometimes is using that power. And, as days go by, I'm even more and more passionate, but I did have a few mentors in the beginning. If anyone listening has questions or wants to just talk, please reach out to me. My DMs are open. Come find me in the Sharbi chat. Come find me on X. Send me a DM, because I had a few women, Crypto Queen, one of them, like that really mentored me, like would give me those DMs, like, oh, girl, you did so good, right? Just like, compliments and you got this and you can speak. Oh, you did a great job speaking. Like we have to give kudos to each other and give flowers to each other because it can be very intimidating. And another thing is, we it is crypto, and some people choose not to dox themselves. And we have a DAO member in Sharbi, and I can tell you, this person's been in there quite a few months now, maybe 6 months or more. But I thought it was a male for the last 6 months. And I will tell you, just recently, we connected um, outside of the Telegram on like Instagram platform, right? Uh, and it's a female and she's amazing. And I was like, but the name, nothing would have told me, but automatically, shame on me. Automatically, I just, oh, we have a new guy in the DAO, but it's not a guy. She's a female and she's an investor. And how it was just awesome, and it was just kinda like, oh, like, I automatically assumed, I was like, "Shame on you, all dolled up," like, I automatically assumed that whole time that this was a male, and, it's not, but the name, that's okay, like, that was her choice. It's not like she came in and said, "Hi, I'm new to the Sharby DAO, I'm a woman." Yeah, that wasn't the point, but, it's just cool, and I have seen in the last 2 years so many more women, and they're getting out and they're getting on the spaces, and there are some that haven't received it well. I have been in some uncomfortable conversations where there, are some people who aren't receiving that well, and they'll voice it, and there's just always gonna be that, so I feel like you just have to, uh, look past it and move on, but, use that power you already have. We don't, these all the women that are coming in are already empowered and strong, and so it makes me proud. And I had, like I said, a few of those mentors, and if I can give anyone anything or just someone in DMs to talk to, like I'm all for that, and I would love to be that for someone.
I am personally trying to do the same into the pond, and that's why I started the podcast as well, because originally it was my idea, because I want to give people support, people, not
Yeah.
only a Telegram where you jump in, you send some, as you said, some gifts, you send some memes, oh, let's go to the moon. No, maybe you had a bad day, you tried, I don't know, maybe let's make an example. You tried maybe to shield Sharby on a space, you jumped on maybe with your profile and you're a woman, and maybe a couple of men, they've been hustling you around, maybe joking a
Mhm.
bit. So you discourage yourself. You go back in the Telegram. There is all the lap. Oh, I said it wrong, probably.
No, you did great. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And you just DM her. You tell her what happened and what she's gonna tell you. First of all, thank you for trying, because it's
Mhm.
something that appreciation, you said, is something that needs to be done constantly. In fact, when there are people that comment something and I'm doing a live or I'm on a space personally, I try to mention the people that they follow me, because is that kind of reward that the people following you, they kind of need in a way, because that's the reason why eventually I started to give all myself to Duck the Duck, because the reward that was given to me, it wasn't financial, it wasn't supply, nothing like that. It was a place that I could go regardless of it's raining outside, regardless of I'm in Italy or I'm in UK, regardless of I had a good day
Mhm.
or a bad day. And that is again the kind of things that all the people listening, especially women, because it's harder to find, I would say, a real connection with a man and on crypto space unless you put yourself out. So it might be a little bit easier to maybe DM, in this case, a woman that is already well known, and just go through some conversation. So try,
Yeah.
because again,
Yeah.
we need women as well in here. We need because they enrich the space a lot. I started to
Mhm.
get to know a lot, let's say a decent amount of women through spaces and through cryptos, through Telegram, that are outstanding human being. You as well. And
Mhm.
you're teaching me a
Mhm.
lot today. In the last hour and a half, you taught me a lot, and it's something that I will keep with me personally. And
Oh,
everyone
thank you.
listening, I hope we'll go through again
Yeah.
these amazing conversations, because I think we need everyone some of this. support.
Yeah, and that's my I guess so I talked about like my career or working, and for me growing up it was I graduated high school, and then you go to college, and then you get a job, and then you work 30, 40 years, and then you retire, and you hope you have enough to live month to month. That is kind of what happens in my mind. That's very big, you know, high level, but that's the path you follow. And in corporate America, in my I worked in construction, so I've always worked with a lot of men. In the US, it's a male dominated industry, but I never felt the overall joy or success or contribution and adding value to something as I have when I came into Web3. And that didn't happen overnight, but like I always as a young, yeah, in my teens, like I loved art. Like I would always, my grandmother was an artist, and I would do art. And I can tell you in the last 20 years, like in working a corporate job, I never got to do art for work, right? Or pick up a pen, or, create something. And in Web3, I've gotten to do that, like with Sharbi, right? I've gotten to just create in general, or an initiative or an idea. If I have an idea or initiative at work, you can take it to your boss, and it's immediately like, no, no, like, okay, no, we don't have budget for that. We don't, that's not possible. Can't do that. Whereas in Web3 or in your project, you can take your idea to your DAO, or to your BBC group, or to the TG chat, and you can get feedback. And that's like how Sharbi.fun, like these were us just having conversations, and then it turns into this and this. And then it's like, okay, well, now we have to raise the funds. And if we want to make that happen, let's figure it out. We can do it together. And, it's just brought so much more. I think about us being in Sharbi, and I talk about all-time highs, right? I sometimes think about if we had, at one point, maybe we had life-changing money in Sharbi at one point, and we've never sold a token. And I think so, I catch myself like, what if like we had just cashed it all out and walked away from Sharbi? And now when I come the journey that I've been on with Sharbi and the Sharbi family and the community, and just the other relationships and things that have come to me in this Web3 space, I would not trade that money for this ever. No matter, like, we grind and we work for Sharbi daily, but that I would never trade that money for what the last year and a half has given me. And so, it's funny because I never would have thought that that would be a thought as well, but it's been worth it. Like I'm glad that that didn't happen. And would it have changed life? Yeah, temporarily, but we've together, both my husband and I have gained so much more than that money would have brought in that moment. So it's it gives more in more ways than just that green candle sometimes, or the monetary value, at least for me. Do we want to earn money? Heck yes. Do I want to be able to live free? Yes. And do what I want? Yes. And that's the goal for all of our investors in Sharbi. I want them all to have that. But it has so much more than that too, which I think the women coming into the space are kind of finding how to use that power, right? And that it's very rewarding, personally.
Yeah, you touched a couple of points that first I think is, as you were saying, is very important. One thing that a lot of people don't realize, the thing about, especially the people are gonna make it not overnight, because it happen once every 100,000 of degens that you make it overnight. But generally, the people are gonna make it are the ones that they realize that is the path, the real journey, the real experience. Is not the arrival. Is not making it there, because as I'm learning from all these projects I'm having here and from you today as well. Once you start a path, you are changing along the way, and the journey is actually what makes the arrival, moving forward. You're never arriving eventually if you have that kind of mentality, because you always want to improve, and eventually one day you will stop. But you don't want to stop yet, because you know that you haven't
Yeah.
arrived yet. Because maybe,
Yeah.
where you are now, 3 years ago might have been an arrival. You might have been, oh, I made it. And now where you are,
Mhm.
you're like, no, we are probably just getting started. And
Started. Yes. Yes.
and that's the
Yes.
beauty of it. And that's one thing that I say to everyone: when you are along a journey, when you are making a change, you want to change your life. You cannot change it overnight. It takes time. It takes some very often it takes years. And I started, me personally, a journey about 3 years ago, I would say now, almost four, because life hit me as well. Life hits everyone. But after 3 years, now where I am now, as I said just to you, 3 years ago for me would have been an arrival point where I am. But now that I'm here, I'm like, I'm just starting the real journey, and I thought that this one was, the actual arrival point, and no way. And that is something that I think a lot of people, they need to understand. That once you take the little risk, the initial one, to put yourself out, to write an extra thing on the Telegram, to try to be more involved in a project, to try to ask questions that you have and doubts that you have, that is the first step to eventually start this real crypto journey. There are a lot of people,
Mhm.
they don't understand that cryptos are here, as you said as well. In real life, I have a full-time job. When I bring ideas at work, I know already how they're going to be taken. They
Mhm.
listen to me because they are paid for it, and after what they do with my idea, they throw it out of the window. With Duck
Yeah.
the Duck, the podcast was my idea. We have a community contest. There are ideas of other people. Now we have other people joining that are bringing new ideas, and this thing
Yes.
can happen in
Yes.
cryptos. It cannot happen in real life. Can happen if you are lucky enough to find yourself in a specific situation and environment and company. But in cryptos,
Mhm.
when you find this kind of project and this kind of people, that's what you need to work on. Anyway, I would say that we've been going. Oh, this one was my longest podcast as well, and I love it. We've been going for about
I
one
love
hour and 42 minutes.
yeah. Yes, it's been good. I think what we're talking about right now, I was watching a television show the other night with my husband, and the guy said at the end of every rainbow is a pot of gold. But I'm not here for the pot of gold. I'm here for the rainbow, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And we can close it with this amazing statement if you want.
Yes, yes. It's been really lovely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being my first female guest on the podcast,
Yay!
and for honestly bringing this amazing project to the podcast as well, and to all the listener. Because again, I think something like this, for the long term, for it's not financial advice, of course, but for the long
Yes.
term, if you're looking at memes, and if you want to get, involved in a community in which your opinion counts, in which you can actually connect with people above a profile, more than a profile picture only, Sharbi
Mhm.
is definitely a project to keep an eye on.
Yes. Yes, and we welcome to come.
Thank you very.
Appreciate you. We'll talk soon. We'll talk again maybe.
Yes, maybe on your what's the
Hot
name
seat. Hot seat. So I do the hot seat Mondays at 12 p.m. EST, and I host 3 projects every Monday. So if anyone listening would like to join me on a Monday at 12 p.m. EST with their project, come find me, reach out. I'd love to host them.
I was on there last week, guys, and for
You were
whoever
on
is
our
listening,
first show too. You are
I mean, it wasn't me
Doug.
probably the
It
speaker, but it
wasn't
was,
you.
yes,
No,
the
it wasn't
project,
you, but
yes, like
the
the
first
duck.
one, yeah. I just hit 21. So you're at 14. Yeah, we've done almost the same amount of shows. I did a little hiatus in December, but I'm in back in full swing now. So it's been a good time.
Yes. Anyway,
Okay.
guys, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for tuning in. Thank you
Yes.
again, all the up, all
You're
the up,
welcome. All dolled up. All dolled up.
all the up, and See you in the pond or at the next podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Bye-bye.